Much better.
Cool. Just didn't want to do the music on this one. Tired of it.
I don't know. Jazz just seems so jazzy.
That's fair.
I mean, I know there's jazz in some anime, but
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop.
but yeah, that's
The entire show is basically jazz.
it's true. Thematically, it fits that show.
It is bebop jazz as well. It's fantastic.
Okay, we're gonna not talk about jazz anymore, and
We're still talking about anime.
I don't even know what bebop jazz is. So
It is a style of rhythmic jazz that is impossible to dance to.
cool. That I don't. Okay.
So anyways,
Yeah.
we'd like to thank our sponsors.
Right. Episode 10, 12, 43.
9.
Yep. Thank our sponsors for the show, Pixel Popcorn Media Group, James Thomas Productions, and Unscripted Studios. Today is our anime manga,
Yes, it is.
although today it's just anime because I didn't.
I mean, they're technically
read-
mangas, but you didn't read them.
Yeah, I didn't read these, so
But you did watch them.
I did watch them.
You watched Jujutsu Kaisen and Akame ga Kill.
Yes. So JJK, as people affectionately abbreviate it, because I guess they don't want to say Jujutsu Kaisen every time.
I feel like
right?
that's you.
Yeah, well, that would be me.
Yeah,
Because it's a tongue twister for me.
it's fair.
Just jujitsu.
You could just say Jujutsu.
Jujitsu. Yeah, I can't just say jujitsu.
Jujutsu.
Yeah, see, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So I don't. So JJK. So these two shows are kind of JJK and Akame got killed, but she doesn't get killed. It's ga, like GA kill. What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Derek will watch this and he will tell us.
I don't
'cause-
think there's really a thing. I think that's just the title. I mean, unless ga means something in Japanese, I don't know. I don't speak it.
Or maybe it's like she's gonna kill you, and that's just like the informal way.
Maybe
like,
it's a form of like will, like Akame will kill. I don't know.
okay.
Either way,
Research project. So JJK, first season only,
yes.
and
Season 2 just started, but we have not watched that.
right? And you're resistant until it is dubbed over, is what I'm understanding.
I would prefer to watch it in dub because I don't mind the voices. I know some people do. But it's one of those where I'm like, once I've kind of started in dub, I want to finish it that way. One Piece was the exception because I was like, I got to keep watching.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So
Had a lot to catch up on.
we briefly talked about JJK already a little bit, right? Just like the first 2 or 3 episodes.
I think the last one might have been episode 6,
Oh, okay.
maybe. Well, that was where we left off originally. That's where Gojo fights Jogo because those names are great.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things, and that's why I don't remember names in these shows and stories most of the time. Unless you see the character a whole lot,
Even still, sometimes you'll forget.
can get ingrained into you eventually,
Well,
but
and like that's been a thing that I've kind of noticed too, because you know I are both binge watchers.
yeah.
So like in your case, you just watched all of Akame in a day,
Yeah.
which it's 24 episodes. It's easy to do,
Yeah, it
but
was easy, yeah.
that's one of those things where it's like because you binge watched it, you took in so much information all at once that it's like you kind of forget some stuff.
I don't know if it would be better if you were watching it in a serialized fashion.
Like week by week, like when it was releasing.
Yeah, because I feel like I would absolutely forget all the names in that capacity.
I don't know. It's hard to say because like back in the day when I would watch anime like that, it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
But I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, fuck, I am bad with this.
Yeah, well, and the names are not like ones that you hear all the time
Yeah, they're
either.
not Jean or Dan.
Yeah.
It's like Gojo, Naruto, and you're like, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, you had to pay attention just to hear the name right the first time. So,
Right.
And then they might not say it again for like 6 episodes.
Well, that, but
You're
then
like,
also too,
oh, that
like,
guy with the blindfold guy.
yeah, Gojo.
Yeah, you know.
But then there's also things too where it's like, I know with Japanese culture, they typically refer to each other on like a last name basis.
Yes.
So it's like,
Yeah, so it'd be Honda. You know,
yeah.
Or if it was Ichiro Honda, it would be Honda.
Right. Or Honda-san and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like versus, because like, you know, but then it's like, oh, when they become more friendly or like they're friends with each other, then they'll use a first name. So it's like, they'll refer to Itadori as Itadori. And then they'll be like, oh, Yuji. And if you're not really paying attention, you're like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, they definitely switch things like that up kind of often. But that doesn't, like, I think at first it bothered me a little bit because I'm trying to pay attention.
Right.
And then if you want to talk to anybody about what you just watched, you go, you know, the guy that ate the fingers guy.
Right.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, Itadori.
Yeah.
You know,
Or the guy with the pink hair.
I got it right?
Rowdy. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Rowdy.
And then Sukuna was easier for me to remember.
See, okay.
Like, he's the vessel for this evil guy, Sukuna.
Yeah.
And that guy's so cool. Like, I was like, oh, Sukuna's badass.
Did you ever watch True Blood?
The show?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I never did either because I also just didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah, no.
But there was a commercial because it was what, HBO or Showtime?
Is HBO, yeah.
Okay. There was a commercial that I saw a long time ago, like advertising it, and this guy's like recreating it for his wife, and he's just Suki. And so every time I hear Sukuna, I think of that.
All right.
And I'm just like, I mean,
there's a weird into a different nerd culture is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
And isn't Joe Manganiello on True Blood? I think he's like
he?
I think he's the big badass guy or something.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking the guy that created it for some reason.
No. He's just a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, he's fucking massive.
He's
he is a huge
human.
D&D nerd.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's cool.
He's also married to Sofia Vergara. The wife and chef, or the
okay, yeah. Yeah, she's
beautiful.
She's a very good looking woman.
Yes.
I just don't want to say anything cross in case Joe Manganiello gets close enough to squeeze my head like a pimple. He would just burst
I would just
off
be
of
like,
me.
"Yo, man, you want to hang out and play D&D?" Please?
Yeah. He'd be like, "Oh, you think you're that funny guy that said some shit about my wife?" I was like, "Nah, dude."
Be like, "Well,
magic missile to Joe Manganiello's face."
Throw something at him, a little piece of paper.
You roll a 1.
Dude, anything against him is a nat 1. Like, you would die. No,
Anyway,
there's a...
That's a... We devolve. So, Itadori,
yes.
right? Okay. I think today we could talk a little bit about some tropes that I'm starting to notice as a watcher that maybe I didn't know about or whatever, but it's very often that the main character is barbarically fucking stupid.
Depending on the show,
and,
yes.
And like,
sometimes no, but yes, that is a thing for sure.
And then
Luffy, Itadori,
even the guy
Tatsumi.
He's kind of stupid. Like, the first time you meet him, he gets all of his money robbed by Leona.
I would say he's naive in this case, not necessarily stupid.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Like,
I'll go with that.
He is dumb, but he's not like Luffy stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not like completely absent of a brain.
Right. But like the one I was telling you about, Fairy Tail, main character in that, absolutely fucking stupid.
And it's funny because I like it.
It's amazing. It makes the show enjoyable because you're like, well, they're so strong, they need to be nerfed somehow. And in this case, it's their smarts.
I think, and I could just be crazy on this, but it goes hand in hand with their ability to like have no limitations.
Well, there's that one
so like they
song.
don't believe in themselves.
Yeah, but like, what's that song where it's like, if you're gonna be strong, you gotta be, or if you're gonna be tough, you gotta be. If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching me struggle on that.
Well, I wasn't about to interject.
You should have. That was embarrassing for me.
Just pause.
Should have let this idiot fucking do his thing. But yeah, like, but that is the whole thing though, where it's like they're dumb as shit, but they're tough as fuck.
Yeah, but I guess on a broader level, like what I'm saying is, they're so dumb they don't believe they can't achieve something.
And then the power of friendship happens, and then they go, I can do anything.
Yeah, which brings you to another trope.
Yep.
Which is in JJK, it's the Toto guy.
Oh my God. Dude, Toto is the best. Toto is amazing. And if anyone shit talks him, I will not allow it. Like,
at first,
well, he's a douche.
Absolutely.
So, like when he's asking Megami or Fushiguro,
when
he's like, what's your ideal woman? He's just like, I don't know. Like, I don't really care about looks. Personality is what I go for. And he's like, I hate your answer. And he beats the shit out of him.
Yeah. And then when he meets Itadori,
he's like, what's your ideal woman? Just, I don't know. A tall girl with a big ass like Jennifer Lawrence. And he starts crying because he's like, that's the perfect answer.
He's like, we just became best friends.
Well, and then
they do.
Well, and then the whole like flashback of like, he imagines what their life was like when they were in school. And like, just because I wasn't sure, just because again, newer to anime, I looked over to you and I was like, just so you know, this is fake. Like, this is just his delusions.
Yeah, he went off on a fever dream of bromance,
and it's
that
amazing.
Never happened. Like it was hilarious.
But Toto's super fucking cool because as a result, though, it's like he respects Itadori right away to then actually teach him how to do Black Flash.
Yeah,
which is such a cool episode.
Yeah, was that episode 19?
Yeah.
All right, so back up a little bit because that's another like the Toto guy is another prevailing trope in anime and manga that I'm starting to see. Is kind of the big guy,
lumbering idiot.
Yeah, that is like fairly arrogant.
But he's super strong.
Call me handsome, and they're very, very strong. But he also becomes like a patriarchal figure to Itadori in a way, like you said, to teach him the Black Flash. Like he literally slaps the shit out of him. On the side of
like they're having an actual fight. He just bitch slaps him.
Yeah, and it's like, but that is like something where it's like, oh, you're right, because like you said, he looks up to Toto so much that he's like, if Toto thinks I can do it, I can do it.
Right. When I'm trying to think, I don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure Itadori is a first year, so in this case, I would say a freshman. And I don't recall. I think Toto's essentially like a junior or a senior, so it's like he's a little older. But it's one of those things. Like it's one thing to have a teacher try and teach you, and then it's another thing when you have someone about your age that's like, oh, hey, like let me put it into a perspective that you can understand.
Yeah.
That I know will help you.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, I think a lot of people are that way. Is like, the teacher is there and they have the knowledge.
Sure.
But
they might not be able to explain it in the way that you understand.
Well,
like, I mean, we've talked about that with
more
just
relatable
actual
to your
conversations.
Peers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
but
so that guy exists and he takes Itadori to the next level.
Well, yeah, because he also tells him too that it's like, don't just do it out of straight anger. Like you have to channel everything. And immediately Itadori hits with the Black Flash.
Yeah.
First try.
Yes. And then you kind of learn about the Black Flash because isn't Gojo's record 4 in a row or something?
God. Naname's.
Okay, Nanami. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they actually talked about if Gojo has a record for it, but I feel like he could do it as much as he wanted.
Infinitely.
Gojo's a badass.
Yeah, and he really is. But yeah, they mentioned the 4 in a row. It's like nobody's ever done it. And in the
Itadori does, I think 4 or 5. I don't quite remember.
I think he does 5.
That's what I thought.
Something like that. But he right after he learns how to do it, because it's supposed to decimate your energy.
Right.
And you can't.
Well, but like in this case, because he's Sukuna's vessel, he essentially has an unlimited source of energy. And he's already a strong character as it is.
Yeah.
But we kept referring to it too, because it's funny, but we applied it to so many things with the, what's the quote where it's like, once activating a Black Flash, they go into an area that most athletes call the zone.
Yeah. It's so stupid. That's like, I think that's why I love the stuff so much, though, because the jokes are just, they're ridiculous.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
But I do and I mean, obviously you haven't watched a whole lot, but like, obviously there are certain anime that like, they have their own world, and that's fine. Like One Piece would be one of them.
Sure.
But I do kind of like anime like Jujutsu, where they actually reference real world things. So it's like, in this case, it's like, they talk about athletes. They talk about, in this case, Jennifer Lawrence. But it's like, I think that's also a fun way to kind of like tie things in.
Well, it's, I mean, we do that too with American writing. They'll bring cultural elements in there to keep it kind of relevant.
Well, what's funny though is I feel like
memes here.
I think Jujutsu season 1 came out in maybe 2018, maybe a little later. But to me, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like at that point, Jennifer Lawrence had already kind of like fallen off as far as her popularity. Like, she's still popular, don't get me wrong.
When was Hunger Games?
2014?
I don't know.
Let's find out. But the point that I'm making with that though is it's like, I just think it's kind of funny because of all the people they could have picked, they picked one where it's like, you could have, like, depending on when you watch this, it's extremely dated.
Sure.
Because it was already like outdated when they made the joke, but it's funny.
But I guess it would make sense if that was like your, crush when you're in middle school and stuff.
For sure.
Like,
2012.
2012 was the first one or the last one?
First one. There's another one coming out apparently.
But there were 4 of those. So like, when was the very last one?
Well, I just saw one that said 2023 as I Googled Hunger Games. It looks like 2015.
Oh.
That Mockingjay.
Part 2.
Yeah, 2015.
Got it.
So you read the books.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, that's it. That's a whole nother thing. I like those movies.
Yeah, I mean, for what they are. But with Jiu-Jitsu, do you have so with what you can remember, do you have a favorite episode?
Well, yeah. I mean, episode 19 is just legit.
Like, I would say 19 and 20 because they kind of go hand in hand. But
but that whole, because it's an awesome battle.
It is.
It's a giant character evolution. And you just kind of get to see like, okay. the premise is that Sukuna is eventually going to take over Itadori.
Right.
And, well, first of all, he's eating evil fingers.
Yes, Sukuna's fingers.
Yeah, he's eating... So he has this evil spirit living inside him. He's fucking eating his fingers.
Yep.
And he wasn't supposed to eat the first one.
But he did to save Megami.
Right. And nobody really knew what was going to happen. And then he ate the finger, and Sukuna is in him thinking, I'm about to take over this dude. And Itadori's will is so absolutely strong that Sukuna's trapped.
Yeah.
He's trapped and he's pissed about it.
Well, and then, like the more fingers he eats, obviously, the more strength Sukuna will get. But
so far, though, they don't ever show a moment where, like, Itadori, that I can remember, where Itadori is out of control and Sukuna is fully in control.
Well, and that's the thing, too. So because, they made their pact that Itadori forgot, it could be one of those, Sukuna could take control whenever he wants. He's just biding his time right now.
Okay,
but
got it.
Don't know. I mean, I haven't read it. I have not seen any of season 2 yet, so...
There is a moment, right, when Itadori calls on Sukuna, right?
Yeah, that's when...
Fight, he's like, I need you, bro, come on.
What the fuck's his name? The kid that he becomes friends with, that he wants to, like...
Yeah.
The kid that got bullied.
Yep.
It's when Mahito, the guy with the white hair and the patchwork face, changes the shape of his soul and makes him a monster. And that's when he's like, Sukuna, like, come out, like, I'll do anything. And Sukuna just kind of laughs at him. But the Mahito's watching and he's like, can Sukuna not, like, do anything? Or is he just fucking with the kid? Like, oh, like, you want my help? Get fucked.
Yeah.
Like...
And then that's kind of a weird, it's like a weird limbo that the character Itadori lives in because they don't want to kill him.
Right.
Because they want power of Sukuna
yeah.
themselves. So, like, he is oddly, like, untouchable.
Well, yeah. Well, because I think it's episode 1 or 2, Gojo makes the point where it's like, no one can actually withstand Sukuna's fingers. Right. So the fact that he's he's able to hold 1, let alone currently 4, it's like... He's a miracle.
Yeah, so by the end of the first season, he's 4 fingers deep. He's like
that's
more talented than Jenna Jameson.
But Jesus Christ,
it's like
so dumb. Like of all the porn stars too, you picked Jenna Jameson
because we just had the reference to how Jennifer Lawrence is so out of date.
That's fair.
Like Jenna, is she 100 now?
Is she even alive still?
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, she's like
somewhere.
Guarantee she's looking like Tara Reid, just beat up as fuck. No, but I love the way that season 1 ends, where Fushigoro's kind of like, "Yeah, I'm tired. I'm gonna let you hold the finger, but don't eat it." And as he goes to reach for it, the mouth appears on his hand and just eats it. And he's like, "I didn't do that." Like they all get pissed at him, and he's like, "What did I do?" And then we didn't watch all of them. I would say we watched, call it 20 out of 24. The
cutscenes,
the end ones, yeah.
Well, so they're not all.
I mean, they're all
great.
No, they're all pointless, but that's what makes them funny. But the best one though is
this
episode.
Guy.
Well, yeah, Gojo's great. This is probably one of my favorite scenes when he's just running through the fields. Ha ha! I'll murder you. But no, dude, in episode 23, when it ends and Itadori comes blasting over to them, Fushigoro's getting hit on, and they all just start running. Yeah. Like, that's one of the funniest ones.
That one is very funny.
I'm going to teach you how to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star on the violin.
Oh, Gojo in that moment is like...
the funniest thing. We'll have to watch the movie, which, I mean, we could have watched the movie first because it is a prequel, but I feel like it kind of helps a little bit just to know the characters and then rewatch.
Yeah, I mean...
that's how it was released in chronological order as far as, like, actual episodes.
Oh, got it. But, so, the show came out and then the movie came out, but it was a prequel to what you watched?
Correct.
Because it was bridging. It was basically saying, we don't have the second season realized yet, but we'll give you some
Well, they had. They just weren't. It just wasn't out yet. But, the one character, I don't remember his name, but that I was telling you where it's like he appears, like, twice in the show.
Yeah.
It's primarily based on him.
That's the one you said ends up becoming a big badass.
Pretty much,
He's the guy in the fight with the flower thing that like says I'm the weakest, so I have to put myself at vulnerable.
Well, they only talk about the character. Like I said, I forget his name. He's the guy that has like black hair and like that white shirt.
Oh,
they mention him like 2 or 3 times in season 1, but the movie is based on him.
I confused him with.
If I'm not mistaken, he's going to be a bigger part in season 2.
Got it.
But the movie's great. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I'll watch it.
yeah, and it is important to the story. I don't think it's like you don't have to watch it, but it's just extra story.
Well, I mean,
for the story.
if I didn't like JJK,
wouldn't have finished
I
it.
would say, okay, I don't need to see the movie because
Yeah.
I'm not going to see any more of it.
It's pretty solid. I think it's like an hour and a half.
But yeah, no, I think the series overall, and I mean, I'm sure we're not doing it a lot of justice. There's just so much content to
There's
cover.
a lot, yeah.
But it's got badass fights. It's got
The animation's
awesome
great.
animation and like evil demon things, and it has really well realized villains.
Yeah. Well, and then we were kind of talking about it the other day, but like, you know, like in Itadori's case where it's like, you know, he wants to be a good person. It's not like your typical altruistic hero of like, oh, I failed to do this, so I have to become stronger to do that. Like from the start, he's like, I just want to be a good person and I want to help be a good person to people around me.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like it's still like that same trope, but I feel like it's more realistic in a sense where he's like, I know I can't save everybody, but if I'm able to, I'm going to do everything I can to save them.
Yes, and I also think that probably leans a little into the fact that, you know, Sukuna can't really take over him because he
Right.
doesn't have motivation to prey upon.
Right.
It's not like
Well-
Sukuna can like tempt him with anything.
Right. Well, and then
know.
by the end of season 1, when he essentially kills not a human, but it's not a cursed spirit with like those
The two brothers that
yeah.
were actually like alive.
yeah,
Yeah.
like they ingested cursed spirits, but they weren't cursed spirits.
Yeah, they
But,
were
like,
fetuses in a jar that got released.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, so like that whole thing of like he starts having that kind of like doubt of like, did I just do the right thing? Like I've just killed a person now.
Right.
And now he has to deal with that, which again, to me, it's cool because it makes it more realistic. Because I think he's like 16, so a 16-year-old kid with superpowers,
Yeah.
who then goes, I just killed someone. Like
is it the girl
Nobara,
that talks to him in that moment?
Yeah.
And is like, you know, it
she's kind of
doesn't-
like, oh, just go with the flow. Like don't let it weigh you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, whether or not they were like, because in the show, people and objects get turned into demons.
Right.
I mean, technically, these were people, but they were literally hell spawn
I was gonna say it's that.
of a crazy emperor that was impregnating
Well, he was a jujutsu sorcerer, but yeah, he was
Yeah.
impregnating and then aborting the
fetuses.
They were cursed fetuses, so they were. It's basically a hybrid,
Yeah, it's like a weird.
Like-
it's
it's like
still
Underworld.
an evil thing,
right?
you know.
Yeah, it's just
in a
Unfortunately,
body.
because it has that human element to it,
Yeah.
it's part human.
But it did give him a character, like a conflict as the character, and so I think that was cool because it shows you
Right.
how much more humanity he has than you
Right? Like,
maybe realize.
he's not one of those like, oh, I just have all this power, I can do whatever I want. Like
Yeah.
he understands the Uncle Ben method of with great power comes great responsibility.
right.
But-
And so, I mean, as far as it goes, I feel good about
Where it's going,
where it's going. I'm looking forward to the second season. I might watch it in dub or not dub,
subs.
In subs.
Just to kind of see a difference.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, I just am curious what's going to happen.
Oh, for season 2.
Yeah, like I'm
Gotcha.
curious what's going to happen in season 2 now. So I want to I don't know how long it takes them to dub over things.
It always depends. I mean, sometimes they'll do simulcast where it's like same time. Sometimes it's, 1 week is Japanese, the next week is, the English. Demon Slayer, this current season, I think, basically finished Japanese before English started coming out.
Yeah.
So it all
So
depends.
like if it's going down like that, I'll probably have to watch it in subs.
yeah.
It's hard for me to do that, not because I care about the language difference. There's a lot going on. Having to read and pay attention to all of what's going on is like a little bit overwhelming.
I was gonna say, I mean, you obviously kind of get into that flow and you get used to it, but I get what you're saying where it's like,
Like I don't read as fast as the panels move.
right. Well, and that's
Yeah.
the thing too, is like sometimes certain shows, like there's been times I'll be watching One Piece and then I'll read something and then something happens or vice versa. And I'm like, I got to rewind because my
Yes.
brain just didn't process
I did that
fully what happened.
like 5 times yesterday with Akame.
Yeah.
Well, especially when they start, because something that they'll do, they use a lot of different cultures in these shows. It's not
There's-
all just Japanese
No,
stuff.
there's Chinese, there's
German.
Japanese, German. Yeah, there's a lot.
And so like when they announce, because one of the things that these characters do when they're in fights, they'll announce their move.
That is an anime thing for sure.
Yeah, and so if it's in a different language that's not one of the languages covered,
Right.
they will tell you what it is and what it means. And I always miss that.
Yep.
Because I'm watching the animation and I'm like, wait, what the hell did the
and
screen just say? Not that it's integral to know.
There are certain times though that it's like those like the translation will pop up, but it's so quick sometimes that you're like, wait, was that important? Like,
yeah, that's what happened. And so I
Or like-
rewind and I'm like, oh, it was nothing.
there's certain anime where it's like, let's say there's like a letter that they're reading and it comes up with the translation, but then the scene cuts and I'm like, what was the point of that? Like, am I supposed to pause this and read the whole thing, or are they just gonna say it in the next minute? Like,
Yeah,
it goes
and
back and forth.
I mean, either they do reveal it to you and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that's what that was about.
or you can use
you're
context
like,
clues.
damn it, I might go back
Yeah.
and look. So, but with that being said, I feel like you want to move into Akame
Yeah, we can do that.
ga Kill.
Yep.
It's just some of the names, man.
So, okay, since you just watched it, out of 10, off the rip, what would you give it?
That just the whole series.
Yep. Start to finish.
I mean, I think it's probably an 8.
I would agree. It's a pretty solid show. Like, it gets moving
Yeah.
very quickly. It's interesting enough to keep you wanting to keep watching. I mean,
Yeah.
we both watched it in a day.
Yeah, like
it's a great show.
I think that sometimes the stories take a little while to get going, and that, if you're not a patient person, you're probably not going to make it off the ground with a lot of anime series.
That's, I mean, I like to think I'm pretty patient, but there are certain shows where I'm like, I'll give it 3 episodes. Sometimes I'm like, that first episode could not get me. I can't do it.
Yeah, and
Or I'll come back a year and a half later.
that, I mean, that's how I am with certain like books. Like if you haven't gotten my attention after like 60, 70 pages,
That's fair though.
that's a quarter of the way in for
Yeah.
a lot of like decent books.
Dude, even
So,
even in a book, like with I think it's the 3rd one technically with the Witcher series, I haven't picked it back up in almost 2 years because the part that I'm at is just, in my opinion, it's very slow.
Yeah.
Not a lot's happening, and I'm like, well, I don't want to skip this. Just like I know nothing's gonna happen, but I'm like, I have to read this. I just can't push myself to do it right now.
yeah, and you also never know in a book, like just like when you're in a class,
If
you don't know
something important's gonna happen.
what the teacher's going to say that might be on the test later.
Right.
And you're like, damn it.
Yeah.
Those 50 pages were so terrible, but it had the one thing in it that I needed.
Well, exactly. And like for the most part, I would say the author, Andrzej Sapkowski, like he's pretty solid. There was one story, and I think in the second book, that I just didn't care for because they're short stories.
Yeah.
But I just didn't care for that episode either.
Yeah, I mean, and that's every
Right.
thing. You're not always like
You're not gonna love everything.
The character Witcher is great, but you're like, I mean, that monster wasn't compelling. That
Yeah,
he
but you're like,
fought,
wow,
or-
talking about a golden dragon, all of this is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
But with Akame ga Kill, though, it's like, it's 24 episodes.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. It's been a little bit since I've seen the whole show start to finish, but like, I would say at least in every episode, something happens. Whether it's big or not, it's enough to keep you being like, I'll watch the next one.
So like that's something that I was telling you the other day, whereas like I wish there would just be like more fights or whatever.
That was when we were watching Jujutsu.
And you said, well, then it would get what? How did you put it?
Stale.
Like stale.
Because
and it's
then
like,
it becomes like, okay, it's just the same thing over and over.
it would, but then
You can do it right.
Akame,
You can do it right.
and like if they're not fighting something, those dummies are like fighting each other
Right.
in a training type of a capacity or something. But they're always doing something,
Right. And I mean,
to advance it. But I guess when you like,
Jujutsu does that too, though. I mean, they've got, I would say, out of 24 episodes, call it 6 of them, so a quarter, that at least they don't fight, but they're still setting stuff up for a future episode with a fight.
yeah, I guess the difference is, and this is something we also is like you have 24 episodes and you know that's all you're going to have.
Right. So you got to get your story
Your
told.
action has to go.
Right.
You know, when you got JJK and it's in season 2 and there's no real idea of how many seasons there will be, right? Like, is the story finished written?
Not yet. It should be by the end of the year.
According to the author.
Correct.
And then
I
One
would
Piece
think-
was supposed to be done 19 years ago.
Yeah, it was supposed to be, what, a 5-year story? And we're 20 some odd years strong.
So you never know.
Yeah. Well, and like that's the thing too. It's like, I would say it's a little different with One Piece because Oda has, obviously he's got a story that he wants to tell, but he can
Sure.
kind of keep that prolonged as long as possible. With went to another island, went to another island. Whereas like with something like Jujutsu Kaisen, you know, you have your story and you kind of establish it right away of like, this is what's going to happen.
Sure.
This is how we're going to get there.
Sure. But then what you don't know, what I don't know, and maybe the author knows because he's writing it, but like what happens when he eats the sixth finger?
Right.
Does Sukuna decide to take over? And then is there this overarching series of evil spirits we don't know about that Sukuna, like, now that he's in control, he like awakens a portal of evil, and then like there's other stuff happening.
He kind of did actually. Like once the first finger was eaten, he basically awakened all the other fingers.
True,
but yeah, I get what you're saying.
But like, so like you know, that story has a lot of
it could go to a lot of places. Only difference is I don't like with One Piece. I'm caught up on that. I know that it could continue going as far as that goes.
Sure,
I don't know what story beats and plot points have happened with Jujutsu's manga. Yeah, to where it's like. It might just be in that point where it's like it's funneling itself to the end.
True, and that's okay too. I think.
Sure. I have no problems. Like if you just want to tell your story from start to finish and get it done with, that's fine.
Well, yeah, I think it helps newer people too. Like I can think, okay, I can watch 24 episodes,
and you know it's going to be done after that.
Yeah, but it's like with One Piece, like I love it, but at first I'm going, dude, like
it's a lot.
It's 17 years of TV.
Right. It's actually more.
Well, I'm just thinking of how long it would take me to watch it.
Right.
You know, like it's just so much stuff. Well,
for sure. But then again, but you're also a faster reader.
Yeah, so. I read a lot faster. So Akame got killed. 8. I think 8. Derek,
it's pretty solid.
You know, great job on that one compared to the other.
Oshinoko.
No. Just no. So this one starts out with this Zelda-looking motherfucker.
Well, it'd be Link, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like the first time he kind of barrel rolls into a fight.
Well, that was the first thing you said. You're like, oh, he's got a master sword.
Yeah, because it did. I mean, that's what it looked like to me. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I
immediately kills a class 1 demon or whatever.
Yeah, like he pieces it up. He doesn't just kill it. Like he pieces it the fuck up.
Oh, he fucks it up.
You're like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah.
And for me, thank you. You know, because like I know there's a lot of this fan service with the TNA and these things.
Yeah,
and it's
for
like,
sure.
oh yeah, you showed me a chick's titties with soapy bubbles on it, and I'm happy.
Well, yeah.
For me, the immediate gratuitous violence and death of
That's
a
your fan
giant
service.
thing. I was like, you got me. I'm like, all right, I'm in. So,
but no, like that show itself, like it's super funny.
Yeah,
it's got really cool action, and I would say for the most part, all the characters are pretty likable. I mean, there are a couple where you're like, but you're supposed to hate them.
Yeah, so actually, this show for me was a great example of how I start with a certain opinion of a character, and by the end, I'm like, oh man, but that was like my favorite.
Right.
You know, I hated mine in the beginning.
She's a bitch.
I hated her. Well, yeah, she is. But then, like, as the edge comes off and you learn more about her,
right,
and you're like, well, okay. I get her. I get her and why she is this way.
That is also just a trope in like Japanese culture, or at least with anime, that it's like I can't remember the proper term, but it's basically like you start super rigid, and then they warm up to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, definitely most of the characters come with resting bitch face.
Absolutely.
And you're like, why
except Leona, she's just kind of like, yo, what up?
Okay, I made a specific note about Leone. She's not like, yo, what up? She's the horny pervert girl.
Yes, which, okay, so it's funny because there's always the jokes about it, but like, she is like the definition of like, not a furry, but.
Yeah.
like,
well, because her beast mode turns her into mostly like a lioness.
Right, but you're like.
And you're like, all right, yeah. And she's just like, she's
super lewd,
dripping with horny sexuality.
Well, yeah.
Like she's just like,
she's basically wearing chaps, a thong, and then like a training bra,
a sports bra.
Yeah, well, not even that.
No, it's just like a boob holder.
Basically,
it's like a tube sock, like on a boob sock.
She's like Perito from Puss in Boots, just wearing a sock.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just
she's like, it fit, and everyone's like, how?
But yeah,
those titties.
So like, and that's actually the first character of the night raid that you meet because she meets
Tatsumi.
There you go, Tatsumi in a bar
and
and
steals
he's
all his money.
trying to figure he's like in a new town and he wants to be
He wants to work. He wants to be in the military.
Yeah, he wants to be in the military and be a great general.
But
and
he thinks he's
like,
hot shit, and he's like, I don't want to start from the bottom.
Right. So he's like, I could be a captain. And she's like, oh, I can help you. I know people in the military. Here, give me all your money and I'll go talk to them.
Before that, though, she also fucks him over by making him buy all of her alcohol.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she gets totally wasted.
Yeah, and then steals all his money.
Him and then takes his money.
Well, and then how does she phrase it? Where it's like, oh, like I feel like this is a learning experience for both of us.
Yeah.
And then like hours goes by and he's like, was that my learning experience that I got robbed?
Yeah, he's sitting there for like the whole day, and the barkeep finally goes, "Hey, I want to go home."
Yeah, which it's like we've all been there as far as like working like any type of job. You're like, dude, get the fuck out! Like I'm closing, please.
He's like, "Well, I'm waiting on somebody," and he's
like,
goes,
"Sorry,
I don't know how to tell you this, pal, but she took all your money."
Well, what's funny about that too is the fact that the guy let him sit there all day.
I know.
Like,
I know.
Could have told him at any point during that, but he's like,
That was a learning moment.
But no, like I mean, that show's super cool, and like because we were talking about it the other day when you were getting tattooed, but nobody is safe in that show. Basically, everyone dies.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
Yeah, so that was a thing where like you're watching it, and this is the first one I've seen so far where the main character or the core group starts dying.
Yeah, episode 6
and
with
like
Sheer just gets fucked up immediately.
Yeah, she gets like eaten.
Yeah,
by a giant monster, or was it
the dog?
Yeah, it was like Syra. What's that character's name?
What is it? Sarah Ubiquitous.
Yeah. So she has her. Oh, okay. Before we go too far, all these characters
have imperial arms.
Have things called imperial arms, or most of them do. Tatsume doesn't have one at first,
right?
And then they kill a character and try to get.
Oh yeah!
They try to give him an imperial arm, and
it's basically like an X-ray vision eyeball on his forehead.
It has like 5 different properties that he can tap into, but the thing that he taps into first is X-ray, and he sees all the girls in their underwear.
Yep.
And he freaks out, and so they're like, that one doesn't pair with you. No.
Well, that's the thing too, though, is it's like they make the comment that like your initial reaction to it says how well you're going to pair with it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, Bulat, the guy that kind of trains him,
yes,
he shows them immediately. He's like, that thing's fucking rad.
Yeah,
because it is. That armor is so fucking cool.
Oh yeah. When the first time he shows up, I mean, he shows up with a giant like lance thing, and he's spinning through the air.
Yeah. Oh, he's like, a fucking badass.
You're like, all right, this dude's cool.
Absolutely.
And that actually goes into what I was saying about Toto in that trope with the guy.
It's the big burly teacher.
Yeah, and this guy, he's even more ridiculously drawn. He has like this
the pompadour,
crazy pompadour, but the pompadour itself comes to
the shape of a heart.
Yeah, it's a heart on the front of his head.
Which I mean, to be fair though, like an actual pompadour kind of does that. Not necessarily is a perfect heart, but like it kind of does.
I mean, I always looked at it like a whirlpool on your head or something.
Well, yeah,
you know, like Frankie.
Yeah, well, Frankie's got the faux hawk,
but he's got they reiterate him, it has that like part that sticks out, and it like. It looks like a butthole on his head. No, but I've seen it in my video game.
Well,
like I've seen the drawings.
Well, in Dressrosa, if I'm not mistaken, it's a tank.
Oh, nice.
Is what it is. but yeah. So, dude, Bulat's so fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I can't remember because again, I haven't watched that show in a while. Is he gay? Do they actually say that, or is it just he's very like flamboyant? Because I can't remember. Because like, I
don't actually know. I don't know that they really focused on it with him.
Because I know
see, that's another thing in the Japanese culture.
They don't give a shit
on the shows. Well, yeah, like it's very often that the guy will like do something flirty and weird and inappropriate to another guy, and
Toto to Itadori.
Yeah. Or Gojo or whatever. Like,
absolutely.
And it makes the other guy uncomfortable.
But it's funny as shit.
But then the other guy does it like, it's just a joke.
Well, and the reason I ask is because the last episode that I watched with you yesterday, Bulat makes a comment, I think about like some form of training to Tatsumi, but like the flowers appear and he's giving him like basically fuck me eyes. And Tatsumi's kind of like, why'd you say it like that? Like but yeah, like he's kind of put off like, why'd you make it weird, dude?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I could think of, because I can't remember that exact moment, but I know at some point Bulat realizes that Tatsume
has potential,
will surpass him.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and then
he looks and he's like, that's the main character.
Yeah. And so like, I think I probably took it as that, as like, oh, he's starting to realize it too.
Well, and like I said, I haven't watched that show in about 2 years or more. So it's been a bit. That's why I couldn't remember. But yeah, no, like you're saying though, it's like in American culture. I mean, shit. I'm trying to think. Like a lot of things nowadays, put it like, oh, this is important.
Yeah.
Even if it's not.
Yeah.
Whereas like Japanese culture, you could look and be like, oh, I didn't know that, and they're like, well, yeah, it didn't pertain to the story, so it didn't matter.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't need to be like. I guess that's the thing. Maybe why I like the writing better too is there can be a lot of things going on. And if you ask a writer, they'll tell you, well, yeah, that's what's going on. But
Sure.
it didn't, like, Oda is perfect at it. Like, there's so
absolutely.
much going on with all the characters, but he doesn't need to tell you that because it's not
it's not
tantamount
pertinent to the story. Yeah.
story advancement.
But to me, that makes it better.
Yeah,
like-
because the character has depth,
Yeah.
and I can tell you a story all about the character, but it's not time for that.
Right. Well,
And
it's
so,
like, I mean,
you know.
dude, Luffy's the best example where it's like his sexuality doesn't fucking matter because he doesn't care about that. He's interested in being king of the pirates.
Yeah.
Everything else is secondary.
I was going to say, he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on an island naked with a full of women that wanted to tug on his mushroom, and he's
Yeah.
like, get away from me.
Yeah. He just didn't even get aroused. He's just like, what the fuck is happening
Yeah, he's
here?
like, no.
I'm trying to remember though with Akame. Okay, so in your opinion, who is the best character? In your opinion, whether it's Night Raid, any of the bad guys, just who did you think was the coolest?
Shit. That man.
Dude, Bulat's a badass.
Lots of badass.
He dies what, episode 8 on the boat?
Something like that.
Dude,
yeah.
that fight's fucking crazy too with the blonde chick, which, if memory serves, she also kind of has like that Nazi regalia.
Wait. Bulat, he dies fighting the other guy's former general, or his former general?
Was that who it was? He's on the boat.
Remember
I remember
the dude
that.
with the gray hair that he, like...
Let me see.
I think you're right. And then that's when he gives the armor away to
Right.
Tatsume. Because there's 3 of them on there. There's the whistling girl. I think her name is Meow. I swear.
I don't doubt that. I just think it's funny.
Then there's the dude with the like the big axe that gets
His
sliced in half.
His old master has he's like gray hair with the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that guy has like a dope
What was
Imperial arm.
Was his like a chain, or was that Meow?
Meow was just shit like a flute or what's that? A recorder. The stupid little plastic
Was that what it
instrument.
was?
Yeah. No, his was either a ring or something, but he had the power to control water.
Okay.
And he like that's.
Oh, her name is Niao. So
Niao.
Nyau.
Oh, okay. It sounds like meow when you hear it in the show.
Yep. No, dude, she was a badass too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But to go back to your question, man, I don't know how to answer that
Yeah.
because
They're all cool in their own way.
as a team, they're awesome.
Yes. Individually, they're even cooler.
Yeah, because the way that they like show you, I mean, okay, let's just go here. It's a big evil versus big good type of thing.
Sure.
It's the age-old, Imperial Army versus the Revolutionary Army,
Yes.
whether it's Star Wars or Nazi Germany or whatever. It's
Or
like
One Piece.
or One Piece. Like it's a very prevailing theme.
Yeah, good versus
and
evil.
That's just how, that's every story, right? The main villainess,
Mommy.
you guys call Mommy. She is a cool character, but the first time I saw her, I was like, "Oh, welcome to the Third Reich with this, with this lady."
Well, yeah,
And,
but like to quote Derek, it was love at first step on me.
yeah, I mean, so that's so like, yeah,
But like, I mean, I get it, but it's like, she's so hot.
yes,
She is a cool character,
her character is cool,
but she's hot as fuck.
Yes. I just think it's like I got confused somewhere because they go and they show you Esdeath.
Right.
And they show you her backstory after she's... Okay. Another trope. The big evil villain woman.
Always comes from like slavery or...
Well, just the part where they fall in love with the main protagonist guy.
Boa Hancock.
Yeah.
Esdeath. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so it's like... I love it.
It's hilarious.
It cracks me up because it's like the fatal flaw of this character is a love interest.
Yes.
And she's like, as death has the power to freeze anything at will. You know, they show one part where I think she froze an entire village of people she was tired of. It was like thousands of people in an ice block to murder them.
Oh, but like,
and then she meets Tatsume.
And she immediately loves him.
She's in love with him at first sight.
Yeah, he meets all her requirements.
It is so ridiculous.
There's, I don't remember what episode it is, but there's the episode where like he's essentially like in her bed chambers.
Yes.
She's like, oh, I'm gonna go shower. I was watching it. I was like, you better get in there with her right now. I was just like, come on, bro. Like rooting for him to do it. And he's like, I can't do it. I was like, you motherfucker. Any guy would kill for this.
Yeah.
How dare you?
And then she even after that, she's like, "Oh, I should have showered with him."
Yeah, I was sitting there watching it, like, I agree. Come on, like,
yeah. So all of that stuff, like, okay, let's be real. Yeah, the sexuality of the situation, any man would be like, "Wow."
Yeah, well, it's like watching that. It's like you lost your man card. Give it to me.
But I'm also not one to be dominated, and she definitely wants to like. I mean, when she takes him, she puts him on a chain and drags him away. At first.
Sure.
Like,
yeah, I'm not one to be dominated either. But for her, absolutely. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, we just don't have that same capacity in us.
That's fair. It's fair.
Not in
like,
me.
I'm just saying it.
Just not in me.
No, this is the one exception. I'd be like,
nobody knew, even if it was behind closed doors and nobody knew, and in public, I looked at Tom and it's still not in me.
It's fair.
It's just not.
I don't know. I got a weird thing for
as a Scorpio. I'm surprised that you would give away all control.
I don't know. I got a weird thing
like
for
a lie.
Angry women. Nami as death. Like
Nami.
I mean, she's more of just a gold digger, but she would beat you up.
If she paid attention to you, I feel like
that's fair too. I mean, well,
I feel like she'd be like the weather, just like her power.
Fickle.
Yeah, like it's unpredictable as hell. It does whatever it wants.
It's true, unless she controls it.
Right. But no, I get that. And the character is very cool.
Yeah.
Like she comes from a warrior nation. Her father was a great warrior. And somewhere it just gets lost in translation, though. It's like her father dies, and she's like, oh, well, he died because he was weak.
Right.
And that was like his whole credo is like, well, they died because they're weak.
Right.
And he's taking out the heart of a mythical beast. And that's kind of her arc is, you know, she wants to eliminate these beasts because they killed her village and her father and all this. And then she gets tired because she kills them all.
Well, right. One, it's like, this show, I think, does a really good job because, you know, it is 24 episodes, so it gets its point across. But, like, it does a really good job making you feel attached to the characters. So when they do die, you're like, oh, damn. Like, that sucks. But then, not, like, humanized, but, like, it kind of gives you a perspective as far as, like, her, like, it gives you her perspective as to, like, why she's doing what she's doing. Yes, she is evil, but it's one of those, like, to me, it's a better, you're more well-written if you're like, I can kind of see where you're coming from.
Yeah, so... yeah, obviously that is like the Thanos effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I guess the problem is I think she got lost in translation.
Sure.
She decided to progress from killing mythical beasts to killed her family to just everybody in sight.
Yeah, no, like you can at first you can understand. Then you're just kind of like, well, hold on, you lost me.
Yeah, your bloodlust went in a different direction, honey.
Right.
Now we're speaking a different language.
Well, yeah.
But it's funny because in Tatsumi, like at first he thinks, I'm going to convince her to join the Revolutionary Army.
Well, and like in your head at first, you're kind of like, if anyone could do it, it would be him.
Yeah.
And she's like, absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, you for a brief moment, you think maybe you could do it, but then you have to go, wait, she really commits genocide everywhere she goes.
Absolutely. Look at her. She looks like a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, so, which actually.
Maybe that's why. Just the years of like ingrained suppression that I'm like, maybe for her I could do it.
Oh God, that's you're making it worse. Like it's not. You're like digging into this. You're like really in there.
She's just so hot.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I guess that's too like it's weird when talking about One Piece at first. To me, it's like Robin is she's the hottest. And then you tell me she's like 6'7" or something.
She's not that tall.
Or 6'1" or whatever. There's a 6 in her height. And I'm like, okay, no.
She's 5'11". No, that's Nicole Kidman. Just kidding. Google fucked me on that one. Nico Robin. Yeah, she's 6'2".
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how tall I am.
But like, everything would match up perfectly.
No,
I mean, yeah,
it doesn't.
it could.
No,
I mean, it could.
I've been there.
Oh, all right.
It doesn't.
Climb that tree.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, there's something about spooning a human the same size as you.
Well, no, I get that. That's weird.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I've done that, but I'm just saying. But like, she can create hands anywhere.
I mean, if she could use some of them to push 6 inches of her height down, then that's then we're good. Can she use it to make her legs shorter?
Maybe.
Then I'm in.
But like, she can create any body part anywhere. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, okay. It's like, yeah. So if I need to snap a lap piece off in the theater, I'll be like, honey, just put one right there.
Yeah. Just like, basically, she'll do the Sukuna thing where it's like the hand on the mouth, but it's just vagina.
You're like, oh, shit.
You're like,
I mean,
fuck.
I mean, yeah, that's cool to think about.
Well, let's see here. Hang on.
Anyhow, we've devolved
Oh, absolutely.
greatly at this point. So everybody's dying in Akame.
Yes.
And you know the first shear, is that what you call her?
Episode
The
6.
scissor girl.
She gets fucked up. I mean, they all do.
They do, and I really liked that character. And then she died, and I went, "Oh, this feels like Game of Thrones when they killed Ned Stark."
Kind of, yeah.
You
Where
got
it's like you think you're like, oh, this, because again, like a lot of anime, it's like, oh, well, the main characters they have
Safe.
plot armor, yeah,
yeah, they're safe,
and then that happens, and you're like, oh, maybe not.
yeah, which was cool because I went, "Oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
cool. That's where we're
And
at."
again, it makes it more real that it's like they can die.
Yeah, and you kind of don't know who might die next.
Right.
And you go, well, damn, I'm starting to like them.
Yep. Again,
And,
Bulat, like,
yeah, I really like
He's super fucking cool, and then he gets fucked up, and you're like, shit.
Yeah, but at least he dies like a total G.
Well, yeah, he goes out like a badass.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, they all kind of do, though. Like, Lubbock, when he fights, was it Shuryu or whatever the guy's name is?
Yeah.
Like, he dies cool. I mean, they're all badass.
Well, and that's what I was saying earlier is as that show went on, because you asked me who's my favorite character, and I still haven't even answered it.
Right.
But as that show went on, I started to like them all more and more and more.
For different
and more.
reasons.
And honestly, I think my favorite character by the end was my least favorite character in the beginning.
Mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And Pumpkin, dude.
It's a badass gun.
Such a badass weapon. It's like, oh, that thing is fucking rad.
Do you remember, oh, no, you don't really play video games. I was going to say, do you remember Devil May Cry?
I mean, I know that game.
I was going to say there's the character Lady. That basically same thing, small girl, giant gun.
Yeah.
But like that's also another trope in anime.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to think though, like aside from Esdeath, I think Akame, she's pretty badass.
Oh, Akame is great.
Yeah, dude, like she is a
Akame
stone
is-
kill. But she's also kind of like Luffy in the sense she's kind of dumb. She's not, but she is. But she has the appetite of Luffy.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
she will eat
she
forever.
Well, they put food down on the table for everybody, and then she has like the table-sized plate that she just tips into her mouth.
But then also too, she eats everyone else's food when it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you're late for breakfast, mine.
she ate 3 breakfasts.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right.
Like, oh, Jesus.
But I did. Well, the show is called Akame,
Right.
So like,
Which is funny though, because like I don't think she's the main character.
But then you get to the end, and she is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so like, that is interesting because the direction of the story she's always there.
Sure.
But it takes you away from it. But then the elements of things that are layered
All kind of
into
lead
it
back to her.
lead to her, like her sister Norube, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Whatever her sister.
Her sister was fucking cool too, though.
Nobuke. Yeah. Yeah. So her sister was really cool as well. Yeah. See that I think that show did a really good
Kurame.
job. Kurame. I was on the
track.
right path.
Thanks, Google.
Right, brother Google wins again. But yeah, so like,
But like that's the
that
thing too.
characterization was cool.
I liked Kurome as well. Like I think the two of
Yes.
them have a great dynamic.
They do.
I forget. Do they fight in the show?
They do.
Yeah. Okay. And it's fucking rad.
So like that, it's interesting because they foreshadow to you
Yes.
that battle's coming.
Well, because they're
and
both
it
basically trained assassins.
But it confuses the one guy. Remember, the guy that had the Imperial arm that they first tried to give to Tatsume.
Yes.
They're having that fight, And one of the powers of that Imperial arm is for him to cloak himself as the person in your life that you love the most.
Or that has the most impact on your life.
And so her sister shows up.
Right.
And then she has no hesitation to killing her sister.
She doesn't give a fuck. She still slashes, and he's like, what the hell?
Yeah,
and she's
even
like,
he was
yeah, she's like, good try, bro. Like,
yeah. And so okay, there's something significant here.
Well, and then obviously when she gets introduced later, you're like,
yep,
they're going to fight.
As soon as, because that was, for me, I thought the general, the short-haired one, the Night Raiders general.
Oh, the boss.
Yeah. I thought she was going off to find more recruits, and then they cut to the scene of Wave and Korome and the flamethrower guy and the flying guy.
That flamethrower guy's kind of cool too.
He's a badass.
Yeah, and he's just got a family.
He's badass. Yeah, so his thing is like, well, that's the thing. They all have a pretty neat backstory.
Yeah. And again, like it gives you a lot of information in a short amount of time, but not to where you're like, this feels like too much.
Yeah.
It feels like the appropriate amount.
Yeah. And so so then you kind of see that team evolve and develop, and you're like, that's going to be the Night Raiders,
Enemies,
yeah. And then General comes back on a flying mantis.
Yep.
During a critical moment in a battle.
Yeah. Dude, she's pretty badass though.
She is a badass.
Same with the hell is it? Susanoo?
Yeah. Her so he's
like a cyborg.
They don't kinda. Yeah, they don't really tell you other than he is an Imperial arm.
Yeah,
himself. He is an Imperial arm, and that little orb thing on his chest is like holds the power of whatever.
He's a fucking badass.
Yeah, so like all the characters super cool. Chelsea,
dude. Chelsea's death is wild.
Her death is wild, but also like
the aftermath of it.
When she first gets introduced, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. She can cloak or turn into whatever.
Yeah, she's basically Zartan from G.I. Joe.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, okay. But then they give you her backstory.
Yes.
And you go, ooh.
Dude, Chelsea's a badass.
She's cool. She's fueled by rage of like people oppressing people.
And then she gets decapitated.
Yeah, then her head ends up on a pike.
Yeah, dude, no, that show,
town
like
square.
I said, that show was fucking wild. Like nobody was safe.
Yeah,
and I thought it was great.
But she actually kills. She's very integral to the final battle being approachable.
Well, yeah,
because she takes out some key people.
Didn't she kill?
She kills the flamethrower guy.
Yeah,
yeah.
She like pretends. I don't remember. Does she pretend to be him or his family? I don't remember.
Neither. She pretends to be a little girl.
Uh-huh.
She's just laying on a tree with a skinned knee. Okay. And she's crying.
Oh, and like he like walks over to help her and then she stabs him.
Yeah. Well, so like that conversation is pretty interesting because he talks about how many people that he had killed and that his atonement is coming.
Right.
And so then in that moment, she's like, you don't even recognize me. I'm the face of one of the girls in the villages that you killed. You've killed so many people you don't even see faces anymore.
Right.
And then she sticks the poison pin in his head.
That was
like,
it.
Doop.
Yeah, she's like, da 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 da.
Yeah, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then she actually nerfs Korome too.
Does she?
Yes. So like the poison doesn't kill Korome.
Just injures her.
But she pretends to be the flamethrower guy.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
And then they're together.
Right.
And she finds her opening and then
she takes it.
Yeah. And so Korome is laying on the ground and you think she's dead. And then you realize, oh wait, they put all kinds of crazy drugs in her.
Yeah,
she's some kind of super being.
Right.
But after that, she's nerfed. She's no longer the
top
one
tier badass
threat that you thought was going to be the big problem. And so, anyway, all that stuff happens. It kind of leads the way to the final battle, and you see Tatsume in the armor,
right?
And then it transforms for him, and that's what you were talking about. How the anime and the manga have different endings. So in the anime, like during the final battle, the first time that he gets the armor, it evolves, but you just kind of think that's probably what it does.
Right, like it kind of fits more to him.
Bulat makes a comment. He goes, oh, it's transforming to fit his physique.
Right.
Da, 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 da. But you just assume that's what happened when he got it, too.
Right.
And then when you see this
Well,
final
because
battle
that's
start,
a thing in anime where it's like, okay, well, it's like, let's say you have the armor and then I get it. It's going to be slightly different for me because
Right.
now it's tailored for me.
Yeah.
So, like in the case of Bulat versus Tatsumi, Bulat's a large,
he's-
muscular guy.
Yeah.
For him, it's going to be more armor.
Right.
Tatsumi is a thinner, smaller guy. So it's like, okay, it's going to be more based for the trump card of like stealth and,
Yeah.
rogue-like actions.
And so, but then in the final battle,
All that goes out the window.
you see it transform again.
Yeah, and
because
it's fucking cool.
finally at this point, the Emperor, who is just kind of looming in the background, he's
Yeah.
a kid. He's
Right.
like Joffrey from friggin'
Basically.
that dragon show.
Thrones.
Yeah, there you go. I said it earlier. and
I know, that's why I
forgot
was
it.
like-
I don't know. You could tell how much I care about that show.
Yeah.
But he's like he's just there, and he's being typically manipulated by an older evil guy, the minister.
Right.
But when you get to the final battle, he has the end all be all Imperial
arms.
arm, which just turns him into a giant,
Yeah.
like a giant destructive force. And so Tatsume has a revelation, a warrior's
Sure.
revelation during the battle, and that's when his armor transforms again. And next thing you know, he's a fucking dragon armor.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit.
Well, and so, because I'd read about it, because I was curious, I guess that's where the manga and the anime differ.
Yeah.
In the anime, doesn't he die?
Well, at the end, yeah. So Esdeath basically
Kind of like dies with him.
She embraces him and then puts them in like a block of ice that
Right.
breaks apart.
Yeah, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Whereas in the anime or the manga, apparently, he stays a dragon. He is married to Mine.
Yeah.
And I guess prior to that, like she reveals that she's pregnant.
Okay.
And then Akame basically leaves to go find a cure for him to see if there even is one.
Okay.
But the main thing is he is a dragon and Mine is still with him.
Yeah.
So it's like there's still like that size difference for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
He's a dragon.
Yeah.
And she is there.
Yeah. Well, that's like the Mountain and his wife in real life. The guy.
okay,
he's like,
yeah.
He's 6'10", she's 5'1".
Right. But like, no, yeah, he would destroy her. But yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah, the pulverizer.
Jesus. But no, like that's the thing though, is it's like I think the anime has a better ending.
Well, I haven't read the manga, so
I just think that idea is kind of stupid though, because like it's not even like it's resolved. It's like Akame went to go find a cure. The end.
Yeah, but before we start this episode, and we'll probably wrap this up soon so we don't go crazy. But I was reading about it, and for a time there was anticipation of a second season.
Okay,
and
that makes
then
sense.
it's been a 7-year gap now because I was just reading it. It says it's not uncommon.
I'd say it's
for
not
long
impossible. There was
gaps to happen, but
I think it came out in 2013. There was a show called The Devil is a Part-Timer.
okay.
And the whole premise is basically the devil himself gets a job at McDonald's working part-time.
All right.
And it's funny. But
Yeah.
then season 2 just came out, I think, late last year. And I was going to watch it, and I was like, I don't really care. Like,
Yeah.
if this came out right after I watched the other one, I'd be like, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll go with it, but not now.
Yeah, I was like, it's like a 10-year difference. But yeah, I mean, that is a thing. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's gonna happen.
I hope it doesn't. I'm content with the story.
Well, see, the way that they ended the anime doesn't leave it very open
Oh, no, the anime, absolutely not.
to like. I mean, unless it's just Akame,
Right.
and something brand new,
Sure.
which is fine.
But as far as the manga-
anything else left behind is just barren wasteland
Right.
of nothingness. So
But I mean, I was content with the anime. I liked how
I
it
thought
ended.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, 24 episodes. You don't have to watch it in a day. I just wanted to keep seeing
But,
what
like,
happens. So
To me, those are the best types of anime where it's like, again, it's start to finish. There is a start, a middle, and an end. There's no more. You can bang it out as quick as you want.
yeah.
And it's like, the shorter they are like that, it's like, you got to get to the point quick. So they're going to do it.
It's true.
So,
And so, I mean, that's it. That's what we got. And if you got some recommendations, throw them out,
yeah.
whoever you might be.
Now people know what you like.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm easy, though. Like, vulgar,
Sure.
yes.
Stupid.
Stupid, yes. Perverted, yes. Bloody and violent, yes. Evil monsters, yes. And if all those things exist in one place at the same time, it's probably a masterpiece.
Or a pile of shit.
I mean, it could be
But to us, it could be a
it
masterpiece.
could be a pile of shit, yeah. So, like, subscribe, hit the other button, the bell, Is there a bell? What does the bell even do?
I don't really know, but I think it's basically like if we post something or of any kind, they get a notification.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Donna Summer us, baby. Ring the bell.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we out.